I tell you what, this camera is a line in the sand. Any gang stalkers that come along knocking, trying to cross that line, I will record them and expose them to the world. So those gang stalkers better watch themselves.
Being that we just finished Christmas and New Year celebrations, and going from prior experience, I gave local community harassment agents maybe 3 weeks to a month to get back into the routine of their concerted campaign of organized harassment against me. But it didn't even take them a week to get back into the swing of things, with the first perp of the year engaging in the same old tried and trusted, and a long time ago previously effective strategy of racial provocation tactics, just 6 days into the new year. Like I've mentioned before in some of my other videos, racial provocation is the mode of attack that lower street level gang stalkers prefer to use where I'm concerned, so I anticipate that a good portion of all my future videos will feature this type of scenario, with examples of more elaborate methods sprinkled in here and there, even if they're not always well carried out. Okay, so this whole situation started ostensibly because I neglected to close the door after I entered the building to pick up some supplies from a local community services center that I make use of from time to time. Ironically, in my previous video, Beware of Gang Stalkers Bearing Gifts, a perp becomes abusive after I decline his offer of food. This time it happened as I was getting some food. There's a link in the description to that video. The charming individual you see on the screen can be heard calling out behind me, asking me why I can't close the door. I turn around and calmly try to explain that I didn't close the door because I thought there was another person behind me also wanting to use the door. Upon hearing my explanation, a reasonable person would conclude that I meant no harm, inconvenience, or disrespect, and leave it at that. But not in the case of this or any other gang stalker, since the motives of this particular species of creature revolve entirely around the business of inciting trouble, preferably the kind of trouble that attracts the police, or failing that, the mental health services. His need to prolong the argument over something so pointless tips me off that I'm dealing with a perp here. At this point, I just want him to go away. Now, there are several details that I would like to bring to your attention that highlight the spurious nature of this perp's motives, and I will remind you of them when I play back the video of the incident. Firstly, this perp was standing right near the door, within arm's reach of it, in fact. It wouldn't have killed him to simply reach out and close the door, if a closed door meant so much to him, would it? Secondly, you can see another male who had been talking to this perp as I approached the door, use the door almost immediately after me and leave the door open. Yet you don't see this perp taking issue with this other fellow leaving the door open. Thirdly, after giving me the finger and calling me a black dog, you also see the same perp walk through the same door and leave the door wide open himself. So much for the sanctity of closing the door behind you. Fourthly, notice the sequence of exchanges during the argument. 1. The perp complains about the door. 2. I respond with a calm and reasonable explanation that it was an honest mistake. 3. The perp ignores what I said and continues to complain about the door. 4. I tell the perp not to look for an argument. 5. The perp presses on with his complaint about the door. 6. I tell him not to make a big deal out of it. 7. The perp then accuses me of being the one still going on about it. Yet throughout the whole encounter, I clearly demonstrate little appetite for a lengthy and senseless row over a stupid door. But I'm the guy who these harassment agents will claim has an attitude problem and needs to get over himself. But rather than point these things out to him, I just tell him to go away, since anything else would just fall on deaf ears and prolong the encounter. I'm a very solitary person. I like to keep to myself, and I don't like to get entangled in the affairs or bullshit drama of other people. But gang stalkers always come to me and try to invade my peaceful inner life, and this can sometimes piss me off, as you can probably tell in the video. Obviously, given the reasons I just listed out, the whole door issue wasn't as important to him as he wanted me to think. This perp is more concerned about provoking some sort of altercation, with me specifically. The door was simply the excuse. If it wasn't the door, it would have been something else, based on what I did or didn't do, or what I said or didn't say. That being the case, he continues to argue because as a gang stalker, that is his job. His job is to start a fight, and like so many gang stalkers that I've encountered over the years, it doesn't take him long to descend into the desperate and lowly muck and mire of racial provocation to try and escalate the situation, especially as there are people present who are trying to de-escalate the situation. But racial provocation tactics don't work on me anymore, and haven't for a long time. This is partly because I've come to understand that situations like this, where racism is used as a trigger, are not about race per se, not in my case. They are about pushing buttons and baiting a target. I've been attacked in this manner by people from all over the place, of all skin colors, so I long ago realized what behavior like this is really all about. And so the result here is another futile effort by the gang stalkers to divert me from my chosen course. It serves as another bit of evidence that these regular encounters with people who deliberately engage in provocative behaviors are not the product of any persecutory delusions on my part. These experiences are real and objective, and they happen way too often to chalk them up to random circumstance. That's why I'm working on getting out of the cities and moving into the solitude, peace, and blessed quiet of remote countryside living. Towards the end of the video, after I leave the building, you can't see my face, but I'm smiling because I get to make another video about the nefarious deeds of gang stalkers. I've turned what used to be a negative and stressful factor in my life into a positive and empowering one. I may be a target, but I'm not a victim. Far from it. I've drawn a line in the sand, and as per the mission statement at the start of this video, if they cross it, I will stand my ground and shine a spotlight on them and their delinquent behavior in front of the entire world.
Where's Mama? Can't close the door, mate.
Sorry?
He said you can't close the door, mate.
Because I thought someone was coming behind me. Oh, don't look for an argument, okay? It's not a big deal. No, you didn't ask me if I could close the door. You asked me if you asked me why can't I close the door?
Peter, do you want to take those?
Don't make a big deal out of it, all right?
All good. Okay.
But you said it, mate. You're the one still going on about it.
No, you're the one who started it. You're the one who started it. Don't start it. That's what I'm saying. Go away.
No, why are you guys arguing about this, right? It's
No, why is he arguing about it? Why is he making a big deal out? Look at him.
Please walk away.
I made a comment, mate.
Good. Keep talking.
You're a black dog.
There you go. Excellent. There you go. No. I'm not gonna react to him. He's just looking for trouble. That was his goal, was to start a confrontation. Yeah, sorry. Sorry? No, I've already got something. Thank you.
You stay there first, darling.
No, I'm leaving the thing, the place.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks a lot.